I was watching this video of this young man who was juggling 3 Rubik's Cubes, which to me is pretty amazing because I'm sure, like many of you, I can't even juggle 2 things, yet alone 3. So as I'm watching him juggle 3, and he's going for a Guinness World Record here. I'm sure many of you seen these videos before where people share Guinness Book World Record videos or some type of content like that. And then it wasn't until a few minutes or a few moments into it where I realized he wasn't just juggling the 3 Rubik's Cubes. He was solving the 3 Rubik's Cubes as he was juggling them. So the video slows down and you see each Rubik's Cube touch his hand. And for a second or two, he makes a movement on each one as he keeps throwing them up. As he's quickly trying to do this, and he completes all 3 of them just over the 5-minute mark, which gives him a world record. And I was thinking, once I was watching this video, I was thinking, how many of us juggle things in our lives? How many of us juggle our finances, our relationships with our children, our wives, even close friendships? Throughout the day, we're always constantly juggling our amount of time that we spend with people, on our jobs, projects that we're trying to work on, maybe businesses at the same time. And it kind of hit me that you shouldn't just be juggling each one just to get by through the day. You shouldn't just sit there and focus a little bit of time and just keep juggling until the end of the day just to complete the task of whatever you need to do or whatever's needed. But what spoke to me in that moment is just the amount of the little bit of attention that he put in to each cube to solve the problem as he kept moving forward. As he kept juggling the cube, he's putting these little bits of attention to detail in each cube as they went through his hand. Just that little bit of attention to solve each problem. Now, if we do that in our lives, if we just give our full attention to each problem, and they're not even problems, it's just the amount of time that we should be spending with our family, the amount of time we have at work. If we give it our all, undivided attention, how much of a reward will you receive over time when you do that? How much stronger will your relationship with your spouse, your family, your kids would be if you just gave more specific attention to the time you have with them? How much more powerful would those relationships be? A lot of us just quickly go through the motions, quickly try to get things done in a reasonable time so we can go on and do other things. But if you just stop for a moment and give it your undivided attention to the task at hand, to the time you're spending with your family, friends, or on a job or your project, whatever it might be, and just give it that undivided attention, you will receive a great reward over the time spent on that. You will have deeper relationships because of that. You will have a stronger foundation built around you and under you because of that. All of us should know that God wants us all to be great. And we find ourselves waiting to give God our full undivided attention, waiting to give God our full undivided attention. We're waiting to maybe battle a sin that's in our life. Maybe there's some things that you're not quite ready to give up, and you feel you can't give God your full attention. You can't give God your full self because of certain things that are going on in your life. Or even people might not even give their life to Christ because they don't feel that they're ready to give their life to Christ because they need to correct something in their life. They need to better themselves before they can see themselves as a believer of Christ. I want you to understand this. God will meet you in your darkest moment of your life. If you call his name, if you call out to him, he will come to you in your darkest moment. Because it does not matter what you have going on in your life. You do not have to wait until your life is better. You do not have to wait till you've conquer and battle this sin in your life before you give your life to Christ. He wants you to give your life to Christ so he can help you battle whatever you're facing, help you conquer the sin that you're battling. I know some feel that you have to offer something to God to have a certain type of relationship with him. You feel like you have to be this certain type of individual who is sin-free, lives a perfect life before you can give your life to Christ. Joseph had nothing to offer God. And here God gave him this dream, this seed that he planted in Joseph's head that he was going to rule. Joseph was already fully committed from that. There was nothing that he was trying to offer God or give to God. He was already ready to step in faith with what God showed him. And we can see this because when Joseph was in jail, later in the story, we find Joseph in jail. He wasn't upset. You don't really read the stories of where he was upset or anything. He was joyful. There was joy within the prison where he was. Let's look at Moses. Moses couldn't even speak well. Moses had nothing to offer God, but yet God used him. God met Moses right where he was, and he used him to lead his people. Look at David's story. David was another one. There was nothing that he could offer God. We can see the story of David when he was a child, and he's going to face Goliath. And he has a few rocks, a few pebbles, stones with him to defeat Goliath. He had faith. He had faith that God was going to provide in those moments, that he was going to conquer Goliath. When you had an army of soldiers who were standing out before him with shields and spears, probably 10 times bigger than David was, because David was a child at that time. So there's probably other soldiers that were 5-10 times bigger than David with shields and spears and full body armor that wouldn't even face Goliath. And here he comes walking through a crowd with a few stones in his pocket with the amount of faith that he was going to take on Goliath.